巡り巡る星の輪に僕の未来願いすべて託す夢の途切れ間に揺らいだ朝焼け冷えたわけじゃない輝き見据えて熱を持つ体抱えて走れば昨日までのよどんだ目にさよなら立ち向かう勇気などなくても迎え撃つ覚悟を僕がなんだってなんだってそれでいいじゃないか僕らは巡り巡る星の輪に僕の未来願いすべて託す
Talking about all this other stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah? Oh. And you want me to what? Are you sure? So, you want me to tell them that Rogue Energy is buy one get one 50% off, right? Are you sure about that? I mean, I'll tell them. All right. Let me start my stream. All right. All right, let me tell them. Okay. Thank you. Okay, bye. Welcome in, everyone! Hello! It's nice to see you all today. Goo! Oh, man. So, we have a lot of... Oh, that's right. I forgot to change my freaking title today, and I'm so upset. I changed it now, but I forgot to change it when I started. It's like a small frustrating thing. I was like beans, bro. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, Man Bear, Oz. Welcome in, Gray, and Mika, and welcome in, Miso. Oh my gosh! Oh, did you guys see what Miso do? Was it about Rogue Energy? Whoa, are you kidding? It's buy one get one 50% off until Monday for the 4th of July sale. What the heck is happening? That's insane. No way. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Okay. I was going to show you guys, look what Miso made me a thing. That's a steal and a half, Oz. And you, let me know if anyone is interested in that deal. Yee, I do, maybe I should make, you know, I'm gonna do it right now, real quick. I'm gonna make a command. Now, I don't want to use it more than the exclamation point rogue, but I'll make a referral command. And what it basically means is if you use this link, you can use your own deal, which, like, for example, the 50% off deal, you could use that, but using my referral link, I still get then, it still helps the channel, essentially. Commands, add, I'll call it referral. If I know how to spell referral. If you would like to use a coupon code, I don't know what, coupon code for you. We had so much fun, so thank you and good night. Rogue Energy. But would still like to support the channel. Please feel free to use my referral code. Now keep in mind the referral code does not give you the 20% off, but it's used for if you have a code that is better than the 20% off, you could use the code, but then you can also use the referral link. I know, it's a bit confused. That's why I have like a hard time explaining it. It's a little confusing, but I hope it makes a little sense. If you like to use a different coupon code for Rogue Energy, but would still like to support the channel, please feel free to use my referral link. There we go. If that makes sense, I hope. But now I have made the command. It's official. But yes, if you guys did not know, Rogue Energy is doing a thing. It's buy one, get one 50% off. You get 2 tubs. Sorry, wait, I didn't want to play the song again. I was listening to that song, it's such a good song, and I'll go back. There we go. What was I going into? Oh, right! Oh my gosh, wait, look what Miso made! I gotta open the Discord, though, because I didn't open it. Hi, Diamond! Welcome in! So, you guys know Art Fight, right? Hi, Tanky! Hi, Simon! Wait, Simon, you're raiding? Wait, what? What's going on? Hello, Simon! Hello, Raiders! It's nice to see ya! Welcome in! My name is Belly. That's me. I am your headmistress witch on Twitch, and I do art and animation. Wow! Thank you so much for the raid, Simon! What'd you do today? What was on the agenda? Sorry, I'm trying to, like, find stuff, and I was just about to talk about Art Fight. Simon, do you know what Art Fight is? Hey, yo, I'm dancing. Final Fantasy 14, let's go! Were you playing... Wait, is there a new thing that came out? Because I've been seeing a lot of people play it lately. Is there, like, a new thing that came out for Final Fantasy 14? Sakadatsu and Dual Doll, welcome in. Hi, Simon. Catching up on the story. Yeah, that was it. Dawn Trail. That's new expansion. That's what it was. I know, I've been seeing so many people play it lately. I'm like, that or Destiny 2 was the other thing that a lot of people were playing. And I was like, I feel like something must have just come out for those things. Cause I mean, it's not like people don't play the games, obviously, but I was seeing a surplus of people. They came out with... Do they have a thing for Final Fantasy that they have for Elden Ring and Destiny 2? You know how there's a badge? Hold on. I don't know how to show it to you guys because I can't change my badges, or maybe I can on my own channel. But there's a badge for... Diamond has it. There's a badge for Elden Ring and there's a badge for Destiny 2. Is there also one on Twitch, a Twitch badge? Is there also one for the new Final Fantasy? Because I gotta start lurking on some channels. looking on some channels if that's the case. Thank you for the twink. I will twink my rogue energy. Right, okay, art fight. Sorry. Simon, if you want to share any art, just for the record, if you want to, just let me know. But if you have to go do some post-stream self-care, or you gotta go do your thing, I completely understand. Otherwise, we're gonna talk about art fight for a second. Because Miso drew me. Look how cute this is. I saved it on my phone, but I didn't save it on my PC. So let me save it on PC real quick so I can show it on stream. If that's okay with you, Miso, if I could show it. I guess you posted it on the Discord, so I assume so, but I still gotta ask. I have not saved any of these yet. Let me save them right now. Hey, yo. Rogue Energy? Hi, Gundorf. Gundorf, did you take a sneaky peeky yet? Oh, I'll stretch my neck also. Oh gosh. I don't know if you guys heard that. My neck, like, cracked in 50 different ways. Sorry, I like to save these with the name of the artist, so I have to, like, copy the names of some of these. I know Miso's name, I don't know the rest of the names. You of all people, no, Simon, that is not true. That is not true. We learn, we start from somewhere. Gotta go get some breakfast, have some good breakfast, have a good lurk. Hi, welcome in, PlayStation. I'm doing really well. Thank you for coming in for the recommendation. Hey, look, PlayStation. Look at this art. You don't see that person in chat? See where it says Miso4 art? That person drew this. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Look, here, let me move over. Look at it. Look at it. Ah, Miso drew this. It was for, yeah, isn't it? It was for art fight. If you guys don't know what art, hold on, wait, let me take a drink real quick and I'll show you. Sorry. Art fight. It's a website. If you guys are artists, if anyone here is an artist, there's a website. It's a game. It's a month-long game throughout the whole month of July. There's 2 different teams. You pick one of the teams. What the heck was that? Oh, wait, sorry. My thing fell on the floor. That scared me. I was like, what the heck was that? The whole point of the game is that you draw characters from the other team to get points for your team. And the team with the most points wins. Sorry, something fell on the floor, so I had to grab that. It's my back brace. I should be wearing my back brace, but instead I want to be a shrimp. I always wanted to be a shrimp when I grew up, so... Gosh. Reminds you of Toho? The art style? I don't know. I guess I don't know Toho art style. I know Toho, and I know... Am I saying that right? And I know... Wait, where did my... Oh no, I think I closed the thing on accident. What the heck? All of my sources are gone. It says they're there, but they're gone. Where did my sources go? No. Streaming is hard, guys. There it is. The heck? Sorry about that. Crap, what was I saying? My brain derped because I couldn't find my sources on OBS, and I was like, Right, but, art fight, you get to, the team with the most points win, and basically you have to draw people on the other team. So Miso is on the other team, opposite team of me, so I get to draw Miso next. But I think that's really cool. Thank you again, Miso, for the art! For the art! Listen, I need the new OBS. Trust me, it'll be good. It'll be good for me. Thank you again, Miso. I really love it. I really love it. Guys, go check out Miso. Thank you. Thank you, Oz. That was so fast. You're so fast. Sneaky peeky. Oh, yeah, but I'll do... Oh, no worries, Gundorf. Let me know when you take a sneaky peeky. How many of you are seasoned anime watchers? Define seasoned anime watcher. I can show you my anime list, but I wouldn't consider myself seasoned. In the very least, I don't watch seasonal. I know that's not what you mean, but I don't watch seasonal anime. I'm so far behind on anime. Like, watch anime frequently? Yeah, I am not seasoned. I am so sorry. You want help tracking down a mystery anime? Well, we could still hear you out. There are a handful of people here that watch anime, so if you want to let us know, like, a synopsis to try and find, unless you're trying to find any mystery anime. But maybe someone here can help you. I'm sorry, I am not seasoned. Do you watch a lot of anime, like, around 6 years ago? hold on, what year is this? That was 2018? 2018 was roughly, I feel like I was on and off. I don't know. I don't feel like I ever watched a lot of anime. Hi, Sketchy. Welcome in. I don't feel like I ever watched a lot of anime. Maybe that's just me, though. There are some people that I know that watch anime, like, all the time. Like, all the time. I cannot compete with them, so I do not feel like I am worthy. The art, like, yeah, wasn't it great? That was, you already know, but that was made by Miso. It was beautiful. Spelling without seasoning. No, don't eat me. I look elsewhere? Okay, okay. But yeah, there's my anime list in the chat if you guys ever want to see the anime that I have watched. I think I've only seen 600 or so anime. Almost 700. We're almost there. But I am not good enough. I'm not there. Oh, I did start reading. Oh my gosh. I started reading Love is War because of a thing that I saw recently. And I was like, wait, what? So I'm almost done with reading. I'm like, what? 20 chapters away from finishing Love is War. It's crazy. And then, I think you guys already know, but the thing that I've been watching recently is One Piece, so I'll be on that for a while. Heck yeah. Have a good lurk, Gray. Oh no. Sorry, I clicked on a thing and it, like, froze my internet for a second. I'll take a drink right now. You already know what I'm drinking. But on the agenda today, we're gonna be animating. We are going to be animating... Let's see... I don't know. Okay, so we did a lot yesterday. I'll be honest. Maybe there's like a handful of things we could work on today. Thank you, Manver. That was a random amount of... Oh! Oh, I see. I was like, man, Gundorf seems really excited about something. So, I assume that you saw it. Wait, I have one other... Okay, Gundorf, how do you feel about blood? I removed it from the original piece because I thought it looked nice, but I think it also didn't really fit the character because you said that she's a retired. She's retired, so I feel like it didn't fit the character, but I wanted to ask you how you felt about it so I could send you that version if you wanted to see it. If you want to see it. Because I like how the colors pop in it. But other than that, yeah. It's still fine? Okay, here, I'll show you what I originally had done. Thickness? I'll show you what I originally had done. I'm gonna send it to you in a DM. Okay. Eee! Aw, thank you, Gundor. Gorgeous character, though. And thank you so much for the commission! Thank you. Blood. Alright, I have sent you the other one. Just predicting? Well, maybe. Yeah, I liked the way that I had made that one because the colors just kind of stand out or pop out, but then I was like, you know, that doesn't also make sense because I don't know. It doesn't. So I removed it, but I just wanted to share it with you if you wanted to take a sneaky peeky. Blood. Aw, but yeah, today we'll be animating, let's see. We have a lot of background work to do, if I'm feeling backgroundy. Hi, Eddie! I wasn't on Fia's, oh no, I was on Fia's in text chat, but I wasn't in the voice channel. I wasn't on the voice channel for Fia's! Darn it! Gah. Alright. Yeah, actually I have a background that we could start working on that I gotta get through. So maybe we'll start with that. Some sketching. I'm running out of things to do in terms of commission work, except I have a whole nother project that's starting this month. But I'm running out, like, I'm at the finishing end of a lot of these commissions. Like, Parker, you guys remember Parker's? I'm up to the editing phase for that. That's completely done. I am editing my NDA thing now. I'm working on this next piece. We're like, we're pulling ahead. Way more threatening. Thank you, Gundorf. I appreciate you. Yeah. So here, I can already move over there if you guys want to take a sneaky peeky of some things. Here, I'll open... what's another thing? I guess we could work on the Polaroids, too. Alright, well, let's go switch over there. Oh, no! Wait, before I hit this button, I already know. Unless I fixed it yesterday. Did I fix it? No, I did not. Okay, now I have fixed it. This should work. Except my background. There we go. Yippee! Oh! There we go, there we go. So this is what we can work on today. We have these 4 that I could basically attempt to finish. I have the background for this piece that I was working on. I gotta do the rest of the shading on the curtains and some other stuff. And then this is the one that we were working on yesterday where I have the whole background to start and do it. So, oh man. Cracking my knuckles. I still have another... Oh, technically I still have another 12 minutes, but I might just skip... I might just skip the break today, because I don't really need the break. I've been nonstop... I was working on that piece, Gundorf, until like 2 a.m. And I went to bed at 3 a.m. and I woke up at 6 a.m. and I was working even more. I am so happy to have these schedules. I finally have my life in check. I finally have everything scheduled so I know when I should be working on things. Very happy. Sorry, drinking. Ah. Alright, let me close that. But I think, I don't know what I want to do. I think I want to work on the Polaroids today. Switching up everything. Because again, I was originally supposed to work on lining and coloring this piece today. But as you can see, we're kind of ahead of everything. So I might work on the Polaroids today. I'll finish the curtain. Because I gotta finish the curtain, shading and stuff. I have to add like a drop curtain as well. And I don't really feel like doing the whole background for this piece today. I don't really, yeah. Little backgrounds. I'll work on little background pieces, but not the full background, so I'll close that. Heck yeah. Hi, Jack! Make sure you're also resting and taking breaks. I had a pretty good rest yesterday, too. I had like, just where I was sitting around doing nothing. Granted, I was feeling a little guilty about it, but not that guilty. I was like, I need this. Look, we're even getting better at taking breaks. Look at us go. Look at us go. I think I'll just start with this one. I'll start lighting it. Oh! Ooh, whoa. Oh, that's right. We have art fight too that I really want to work on. But I know I can't work on it yet because I gotta push out the commission stuff. I want to work on art fight stuff. I'm so excited. I have like 3 different people that I have to attack. And then I have like, or revenge. And then I have like 5 people that I want to attack in general. Wait, I was looking at my, oh man, I was looking at my stuff. Oh, okay, okay. I will start doing art. Let me skip this break because I do not need this. There's not much to talk about this morning because I don't think, other than the Rogue Energy thing. Oh, I guess I'm not streaming tomorrow. If you guys did not know, according to my schedule, I have tomorrow off. Tomorrow is my 1 day off this month where I will be just hanging out. I'll be hanging out with Maestro actually when he gets here. And it's the 4th of July, so I'm excited for that. Heck yeah. Alright, let's start. Too many layers, too many layers. Let me make a, oh no! Make a folder and call it sketch. So I know these are all the sketch layers. Okay. Oh, let me clean my glasses real quick. Ah! I never got around to asking, but do you guys prefer that I have my hands like a plugin where I can move them? Or do you prefer when I had the trackpad so that you guys can see like when I'm using the mouse or using the keyboard and stuff? Also, I think my... Am I on the right microphone? Why are you picking up the fan right now? No, I'm on the right microphone. That's weird. Can you guys hear the fan in the back? Is it really bad or either or? I really like the trackpad. You like the trackpad? All right, maybe we'll switch over. That way I can unplug my hands. It's gonna be a little broken at first, but I'll fix it in a moment. Hi Vexus, welcome in. All right, let me get rid of my... Let me unplug my hands. No more hands. Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm the chibi. Hold on, let me switch out my... Who should I be today? I guess I'll just... TV! Cannot hear fans? Oh gosh! I'm like, oh gosh! What the heck? Oh no! I am yoga. We're doing yoga today. It's a yoga stream. Contort your body. No. Yeah, you guys can't touch this now, huh? Can you? Oh gosh, my torso. Oh god. Oh. Ah. I think I died. What happened to me? Hello? Oh! Yeah, ow! Yeah, I think I died. Wow, I look like a... Wee! 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 Okay.
Warning.
How... Hi, Rim.
Renulix has entered the stream.
I look very, unnatural, to say the least. Oh, goodness. Almost there, I swear. Ow. There we go. Alright. That's, I mean, pretty good. What do you guys think? There is a trackpad, but I put the trackpad inside the keyboard. But now, if the only thing that I don't like is whenever I type, I mean, I guess that doesn't look that weird. But if I use the numpad, then it looks a lot more natural. It doesn't really matter, though. Alright, oh goodness. Yeah, this is why you guys wanted the trackpad, isn't it? I'm gonna figure out the redeems so that this doesn't happen. You hear me? When we go on break, I will figure out the redeems. Bet. We're still locked because I didn't plan on using this. If I planned on using this more, I may have edited it, but I will fix it now. But what's cool about this is it still lets my hands move around and stuff without me having to have my camera plugged in for my chest camera, because that gets hot and it's summertime. Yeah, it's wintertime. Let alone it is a little straining on my PC after using it for hours. It's not so bad when I first start using it, but after a few hours it's like, okay, I would like to not have my hands anymore. What this ultimately comes down to is eventually I'm gonna need a new PC. Especially with all the stuff that I want to do. Eventually. Ooh. Which one? Oh, it's the fossil Pokemon. Hold on, wait. No, mine. I'm not even gonna use a special ball. I'm gonna use a Pokeball because I'm too lazy to type out the other balls. It's doing its best.
Hey.
Hey, go
My name
ahead.
is Thara, and you should be following Spelly. Like, what are you waiting for?
Hey, girl, hey. Hi, Jeannie. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's your favorite fossil? Well, congratulations. You got it. I think my favorite fossil Pokemon is the blue dinosaur. What's it called? It starts with an A, I think. You know what? I was a little sad yesterday when I saw that applications for the studio that does Hell of a Boss? Applications for animators for cleanup animation. They opened. And I was like, "Oh, I really want to apply for that." But alas, I cannot apply. So, hey, if anyone does animation on Toon Boon and would like to apply for that, applications are open until, I think, the 9th. So, until next week. Yeah, Toon Boon. And hey, to be fair, that's not to say I couldn't learn how to use it. But I definitely don't want to learn how to use it right now because that's expensive. I know how to use Toon Boon. You should apply then, Matt. Well, if that's something that interests you. It might not be, but they're looking, the applications are open. They're looking for applicants. Is that the word? It was years ago, or especially when there's a deadline, there is a deadline. It's true. It's not even just like, I don't know, because it's not to say I can't learn how to use a new program. It's to say that it's expensive to own the program without being in a company or affiliated or like with a school or something. And that's capital that I don't have to just throw around just so I could use it for something that I'm, Tubing's pretty pricey. It is. It is. And that's why I'm out here. I mean, Clip Studio's not free either. But it's definitely I do the one-time payment version of Clip Studio, and it's definitely a lot cheaper in the long run. I'm just leeching off my Uni's license. I wish... That's another reason, honestly, I wish I had gone to school for all of this. Because then you get some of these assets. Like, license and stuffs for things that the school funds. And you don't even have to worry about it, you just get to use it. Like, all the Photoshop stuff would have been great to at least learn, even if I didn't use it now. But I didn't get any of that from my uni because I didn't go to university for any of this, anything like this. You know what I got a license for? I got a license to use for a year because I was doing it for my research. It's called Maestro, which is funny because Maestro, but it's a it's like a modeler for modeling proteins in the body, or not proteins specifically, but things like that. And you get to simulate what happens, like bindings and stuff. I don't know. It's not art. Oh, I guess it's a type of art. No. No. Hold on, let me move this down a little bit. Sorry, I'm just trying to make it look a little less weird. Okay, that's good enough. I look like I'm absolutely shrimping. I think because I am in real life. All of that, Miso. You could I can't, first of all, I can't even talk about it on stream, Rim, that's illegal. But I literally, I don't feel comfy doing that. Had the turnaround come out? It's not done. That's how it came out. I can show you what it looks like so far, but I have, it sucks because I only set aside so much time to work on it. And now that that time is gone, which was at the end of last month, I don't really have a lot of time to work on it. This is what it looks like so far, but I'm still getting there. Oh, that's really cool, Mets. Maybe one day if it's not even that I would be able to afford it. Maybe one day if I get to use it through like a company or something. Here, let me sit up properly so I don't look like I'm shrimping, because I'm shrimping in real life. And that's why she's shrimping in... When you shrimp in VTubing, you shrimp in real life. Yeah, I like how it's coming out. I just got, oh gosh. I like how it's coming out. But I gotta find time to actually work on it. Let me open my references, because if I'm gonna line this, I gotta need my references open. Here it is. Aw, thank you, Bat. You shrimp in the game, you shrimp in real life. Apparently. Ow, my neck. It is. It's such a long. It is. It's a process. I thought I was gonna be able to do it in one stream. I wasn't able to, but I know myself a little bit better as an animator. I know my limitations. So I have an idea for the next animation challenge for this month, towards the end of this month. I hope it doesn't sound like a cop-out, but there's this one technique that I saw when I was watching Cardcaptor Sakura, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to try it. As soon as I saw it, I wanted to try it. So I'm gonna try it, but it's a very, very simple but effective animation technique. And honestly, it involves basically no animating. It's just video editing. But that's why I really want to try it. And it's a bit of a break from last month, because that was a really hard one. For me, anyway. There are some animators that are just so powerful. I want to be one of them one day. Powerful animator. But we gotta work towards it, and that's okay. Transformation sequence. Wait, what? No, you would have to animate for that, absolutely. I gotta make the poll for Patreon at some point. Wait, what's today? Today's Wednesday? Maybe I'll make it today and I'll put it out sometime this week. Yeah. You're curious about this video editing technique that takes no animation, right? Now, granted, I might still add animation to it to make it look sprunkly. Sprunkly? Is that the right word? No. I don't even know what that word means. To make it look a little better. But I don't have to. I don't have to is the big thing. I just draw the background, the characters in the background, in the midground, the foreground, and then I draw the part that's going to be quote-unquote animated. With big quotes. One day, Bats, we'll get there. One day. We just gotta keep working hard. Hi, Senor Burrito. How are you doing today? Aw, thank you for the pats, Ace. I appreciate it. What is this technique? I guess you guys will have to stick around and find out. We're gonna find out towards the end of July. So don't leave my community just yet. You're tired? Well, hello, tired. My name is Belly. Ow. You're just mad because I'm right. You're always tired? I'm not very tired today, and I normally don't feel tired. Sometimes I get tired, but I'm sorry to hear that you're always tired. No, thank you. All around me are familiar faces. Their name was Spelly, not right. Well, think again, because I have a middle name. And that middle name, I have like a million middle names, let's be honest. If I'm gonna make this joke, then I have a million middle names. Ugh. From here on out, just call me whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want. Thanks. Lol. Spell right, craft. Except that one word, right? I mean, you guys can say it, but it's probably the least original thing I've heard as far as I'm concerned. And you'll probably get timed out by my mods, but that's entirely up to you guys. I've been having this issue lately with... How do I word this? I guess the best way to word it is people who think they are closer to me than they really are. Because they'll make jokes, whether it's at my expense or not. They'll make jokes about me or whatnot that you would only make if you actually are my friend. Or, you know, we're close enough like that. And I'm not sure what to do about that. I guess just talking to them like, hey, I hope you realize that we're not actually as close as you, I guess, think we are. So you need to knock that right off. I feel like that'd be so mean to say, though. But yeah, I've been having a little bit of that issue lately. So I gotta figure out how to talk to certain people about that specific subject. Your most recent D&D characters, your last name is Finecraft? Oh, whoa. Thank you, City Burrito. Is it? Might have to be blunt with them. It's not mean if you don't intend it to be. It's true. I just gotta be blunt with people and be like, hey, we're not friends. Okay, bye. Oh crap, there's a Pokemon? I missed it. Oh, I don't really give hints. Oh gosh. Ayo Cootie, I don't give hints. I just don't say anything. Which is also not good. Ayo Cootie! Thank you so bonjour. Hello Raiders, my name is Felly. I'm your headmistress on Twitch, and I do art and animation. Thank you so much for the raid, Aokuni. Merci. That's not the right. How do you say thank you in French? Oh, wait, it is? I thought that was Italian for some reason. What the heck? Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. And welcome in, Lord Bread. Aw. Direct communication is important. It's true. Sorry, we're talking about how to relate to someone in terms of, or relay to someone that they are making jokes that you are not good enough friends to make. That was a really bad way to explain that, but that's what we're talking about right now. Yee, new animation. Oh, you mean the raid? Oh yeah. We have a new one. Lamat, thank you so much for becoming a club member here at the clubhouse. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's always nice to know those things, Rim. If you have to do any post-stream self-care, I completely understand. I know that you just mentioned that you were dead. I don't know if that was from, like, the game. Actually, what were you doing today? Hold on. I didn't get to see. You're doing... Oh, no. Okay, never mind. Oh, no. Oh, no. I am so sorry. Please take care. Anyone who doesn't cut it out can only pray to the mercy of the mods. Oh no. Yeah, like I said, there are some people. Sometimes, it's like sometimes you wish it would just go away. And you know it's probably not gonna. But the next time it happens, I will be sure to message them. I don't want to call them out in chat or anything. But I will be sure to message them. I don't really like how this came out. Hold on, let me get a reference. Hi, Lucky. How goes it? It's going pretty well. We started not too long ago. I really gotta fix my model, because my model keeps breaking. Oh no. I deleted a sketch layer. Okay. Me. Think it's bad enough call Mountain Chat? So it's a public record? I mean, you guys already know, in the very least, you guys know that anytime I have to do any of this kind of stuff, I immediately screenshot it for mod chat. There's a good reason I don't like being public about these kinds of things. When it comes to, like, because it's essentially down to, I don't like people feeling bad, you know, about stuff that happened, especially if it could easily be resolved in DM. But you're right, if it does get bad enough, I have no qualm just saying, hey, this is unacceptable! Also, it was a focus of that rather than stream. That's the worst part. That's the worst part, Lucky. Shiny, thank you for the paint. That's the worst part, is that there are, when someone... There's a reason it's called taking the stream hostage. When someone starts talking about things on stream, or... Wait, I think I'm going into a different subject. Let me bring it back. I don't like calling people out on stream because then it makes a lot of people feel awkward and a lot of people are like, alright, I'll come back later. Let alone I feel uncomfortable too. Like, if it was me, I would also, like, dip for a little bit. It's an uncomfy feeling. All around. That's why I really don't like doing it. I like how it's coming out, but I don't. I gotta keep going. Yeah, that's what I said, Miso. I just don't want you to sacrifice your boundaries for someone else's comfort. I don't know when's the last time I've done that. It's been a hot minute. Because, oh, you guys kind of know the last time that happened, and then I just DM'd the people. I was like, nah, we're not dealing with that, fam. And I sent them all DMs. I'm gonna let y'all sort that out. Exactly, Bam Bear. If they can't get over the feeling bad... Wait. If they can't get over feeling bad for making you have a bad time, that's on them. Full stop. Wait, what? You mean like if they get mad about it and stuff? I will hydrate. Give me a second. I really want to fix my model now. Thank you for the drink. That's a bit better. Yeah. You like the idea of the trackpad? But if the hands keep your model from breaking, but if hands, I can fix it. I just have to set up my blueprint for it, which we can do once we go on break. Yeah, yeah. There we go. I don't think I want to draw all of these ruffles. Or it might be easier to do that, though. Nah, I guess I will. It'll make it easier in the long run. My alarm. Oh, I learned something the other day about how to set up my stream so that when you guys can basically control my clip studio. Kind of like controlling a game where you input commands like up, down, left, right, yada yada. But you guys can control my clip studio, so you can change my brush, you can change the color that I'm using, like that kind of stuff. And I am really excited to try it out. Oh no. It'd be a lot of fun. Like that, for example. You guys can literally auto-save my art. But if you guys did not know, exclamation point CF, the letter C and the letter F. We're doing a charity stream next week. And one of the milestones is that you guys get to control my art. And so when I turn the thing on, thank you. When I turn the thing on, you guys get to control whether, yeah, like if I have a brush, if I have the pen tool, the eraser tool, if I'm drawing in blue, red, yellow, all that stuff. You guys get to control all of that. I'm really excited for that. Hi, Sophie! Once. Greeting once. Hello. Is it once? Like once? Like O-N-S-E? Hello, Ellie. Actually, there is another thing that we gotta talk about, but it's not super important that we... I said C. Did I say S? Oh no! I said C, right? Tell me I said C. Hi, bone marrow. I feel dumb. I can't even English, bro. This is why I don't have a language. Nope. Texture brush. Exactly, Mambe. Twitch turns CSP into an Etch-a-Sketch for real. Oh, I'm stretching. Hold on. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm
Hi,
Merperoni. I
Merp.
stream art and spooky games, and I'm here to tell you about how amazing Spelly is and how you should sub to her.
I wanna talk to Burp again. I would like to talk to Burp again, please. Merp went off to a convention and then got sick, and now I haven't talked to him. I'm sad. I really have to use the bathroom. Try not to think about it. I did say S. I'm a silly. I did a silly. Oopsie. But yeah, you guys get to control my CSP, and I'm really excited for that. Ah! No! I have to pee! Don't make me drink when I have to pee. That's cruel! This is torture. I will drink right now. Just show up in the morning. Oh gosh, ads. Woo. Okay. Are you gonna, well, I don't know if you celebrate the 4th of July, but are you gonna be live tomorrow in the morning? Because I have a lot to work on tomorrow in the morning before the afternoon. Because once the afternoon hits, then I'll be busy schmoovin'. E. What was I talking about? I feel like there was something I was gonna say, and now it went right out the window. Trying to hold on. Didn't even know. Wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside. And even though I tried, it all fell apart. I have to pee. Oh no! Wait, let me see. Oh, it's loading. Oh yeah! It's so true. We're just doing our yoga stretches, man! You caught me doing yoga. I've been eating a lot of yogurt lately. Very unrelated. Delicious, though. I finished a whole tub of yogurt without it going bad. I'm pretty proud of myself, needless to say. Yogurt's good for you, and it's probiotic. Heck yeah. Oh gosh, I gotta pee. Okay, bye! I was waiting for that timer so I could go pee. I know I did not have to wait, but I really had to. Ugh. Say less, fam. let's see if we can fix... Oh, goodness. Let's see if we can fix this model. It's time to fix this model. Yeah, boy. Did I tell you guys that I did a yeah, boy the other day? And it was 55 seconds, and I was kind of disappointed I didn't hit a minute. So I really feel like I could hit a minute of yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. I'm not going to do it on stream, though. That would be... I think you guys would get hella annoyed. Alright. Let's fix this model. Warudo. So what I have to set up is that when someone redeems something, it turns off the keyboard and the trackpad. Thank you. Do it? No. Let's see. Throwables and stuff. So on... No, wait, not the throwables. What are the things that break my model? The dancing breaks it, the hydrate breaks it, and when we get a raid, it breaks it. So, let me go to drink first. Hydrate. I gotta find it, though. Oh, stretch breaks it, too. So, what is that? So what I have to do is... Let me think. How do I turn off? What is it called? It's a... hat. Asset. So if I go to the assets... Asset for... Asset property? Oh, toggle asset enabled. So that means it's turned on and off. So the asset I want is both the keyboard and the trackpad. Oh, you guys, I just realized you can't see this. Here. You want to take a sneaky peeky? So you guys can see what I'm doing. Is it this one? Yeah. Oh wait, you can see that. Sneaky peeky. Great asset. Great asset. So, this is what we're working on. So when someone redeems drink, I would like... Wait, can I just connect all of these? Oh, gosh. To disable. Ugh. Greeting once more. You got it! Congrats, Sophie. It's, yeah, it is really nice. It's very easy, very user-friendly. You don't have to know anything. Oh. Can we try it out? Here, let me see. If I hydrate... Yeah, that didn't work at all. Oh, let me think. Oh, I know why it didn't work. Because I'm beans, that's why. Hold on. Was this set up like this? Why is this like this? Oh. I don't need this one. Why do I have this? Oh, I know why I have this. I don't need this anymore. I can get rid of this. This was because my model used to break a lot. I can get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. I don't need that. There's just too much. Oh man, you should message them, Man Bear. You should be like, hey, I think this would be really cool. Alright, let's test it out. Okay, so one of them got disabled. I know why. I know why that disabled, so I think I know what I have to do. What I have to do is break this. And this is gonna go over here. Okay, it should work now. There you go. So that's what I have to do. I have to do that with all of them, though. And then it should go back. Yeah, look at us learning. What the heck? Bro, there's so much you could do with this. Like, I can make it... I'll show you guys, maybe on our next break, we'll work on it again. That's just the hydrate, though. I gotta do it with all the other ones. What was another one? The dance. That's another one you guys really like. Alright, so... break this. Put that in there. Put this in there. I guess it doesn't matter how organized it is. I just prefer it to be organized. Darn it. Alright. And now, if you guys do the dance, it should dance and not break. And I didn't fix the other ones, so we still gotta fix some of the other ones. Hi, Opal! Welcome in! I don't know, how did you get here? Did you come in on a raid? Who raided today? We had Simon and Aokuni. Oh, if you speak French, it might be from Aokuni. I apologize, I do not speak French. I always tell Aokuni, I'm like, I'm sorry, Aokuni, bro, I don't speak French. Homie, please. I love him, though. He's great. Aokuni does our video editing on YouTube. Oh, you didn't get in on a raid? I have no idea, then. Welcome in, though. Yeah, we're working on animation today, but my model keeps breaking every time people redeem stuff, so I've been trying to fix that real quick. While we're, what was the other thing? Stretch breaks it, and... Aokuni's great. Stretch... There was one other thing that breaks it. Oh, when someone raids, it breaks it. So we'll have to work on that after... Here's our stretch. Wait, I can do it real quick. Oh, crap. No, I'll finish this real quick. Otherwise, it's gonna bother me. Let's fix. Because I don't want my body to break every single time. Look, I like yoga, but I don't like yoga that much to completely contort my body. There we go. I fixed the stretch as well, hopefully. Now I just gotta fix when someone raids. Too many blueprints, bro. So I got switched. Huh, that is weird. Normally that happens on a raid, but if you didn't come in with a raid, I don't know how. Twitch broken? The only other thing I can think of, who were you watching before? I don't mind. Normally I don't like it when people talk about this, but I don't mind if you say cause I asked. Cause I asked. Wait, that sounded like asked. Aokuni's edits are phenomenal. Wait, this isn't it. It's over here. Was there someone named Yoimons? I don't know them. I was gonna say, there's a chance that it was someone who maybe ended their stream, and then I was like one of their recommended channels, because you could like suggest channels, and their channels actually play. It's like back in the day, they used to have hosting, right? So that's what used to happen with hosting. It still happens, it's just not considered a host anymore. But I don't know that person, so I can't say that they're quote-unquote hosting me. That was a dwink. Where's my raid? Is this one? Oh yeah, it's this one. Okay. There we go. Now when someone raids, it shouldn't break. I shouldn't break again. Hopefully. There we go. Okay, I think we got everything fixed. Let me save it real quick before I lose everything. Save. Heck yeah. So many words for moving hosting. Look, they still have Twitch hosting. It's just not called hosting, let alone you can't really control it. Like, you can't control who your channel hosts unless you put them as a suggested channel. And they have to be higher on the list of suggested channels. It's kind of hard to, it's not super hard to explain, but my brain is like, so. Here, let's go back to the art. We'll go back to the art. Let me hit this button. Boop. All right. And then, I think I got everything fixed, though. I think I did. JS Rock, welcome in, welcome in. UI work? Oh no, I'm sorry, JS Rock. I literally just switched back to doing art. Yeah, we were working on fixing my model, because every time someone would hydrate me or they would make me dance and stuff in the channel point redeems, my model would break. It would break so bad. And so I was fixing that real quick. And now that I finished fixing it, I went back to doing art. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did want to do, oh gosh. I do want to work on some other fun goodies on our next break. But I have some commission work to work on, so I gotta plan out my fun time of fixing things and my time of working on work that gets me paid. Crying. Is this a spelly? I know last time you streamed regularly, all you had to do was, yeah, that's how it used to work. It's true. I mean, even before then, back in the day, they didn't even have hosting or raids or anything. But they got rid of hosting. Now you have to do it through, like, your suggested channels and stuff. Like, you couldn't just host anyone. Or you can't just host anyone anymore. Which I find silly, but Twitch is gonna do what it does. I cannot control. I was really hoping, sorry, Rock, but welcome in nonetheless. Sometimes we do a little node work. Now we're doing a little animating. Yippee! Aw. Oh, I'm sorry to hear, Opal. Yeah. Look, for the record, I have nothing against 18 plus. At all. Because I actually used to be 18 plus. Until Twitch did some wonky stuff. But it's not even because I don't do 18 plus content. I don't do the sex. I don't do, like, I don't know what else is considered 18. I guess gore stuff, like, I don't know. I don't really curse on stream. I don't do any, like, 18 plus. So I wound up changing over from being 18 plus because there was a lot of misunderstandings with it where people are like, you know, they assume that you do the sex. And I'm like, no, I just, you know. But I wound up changing. I was like, alright. We do have sometimes, like, mature topics, but not like that. You know? Phone barrel. Hi, Miwa! Welcome in! You don't do sex no! I don't do sex animations on stream. Wait, I don't do sex animations at all. No, how you doing today, Miwa? You saw the nodes and flipped the little... Nodes are fun to play with. If I had the time, I would play with nodes some more. But mainly because I really want to do some really cool things for stream. But I gotta work on my commission work first. And don't get me wrong, for anyone, especially for any one of my clients, I do love working on commissions. I just wish I had more time in the day. I think we all do, though. Honestly. More time in the day would just, or a clone? No. I think I'd rather have more time in the day than a clone. But imagine if you were able to use all 24 hours of the day instead of sleeping. Like if you never had to sleep. Like you were never tired is the big thing. Imagine what a world it could be. Miwa, oh, you already know that I've been in your ASMRs. I really, really like your ASMRs. Heck yeah. I hope you like them too. If you do not, I am here to support you for whatever you want to do, but I really like your ASMRs. I heard recently that there was a person that really did not like doing ASMR, so I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that some people, stream things they don't really want to, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, I understand doing it for maybe one stream if you have to do a sponsored thing, but you weren't really feeling it that day, but you still gotta do it, so it's like, okay, I gotta do the sponsored thing, but I hope everyone knows that you can stream what you want 9 out of 10 out of time, you know what I mean? Ugh. Oh, well, if you're a hobbyist, you can do it, you can literally stream whatever you want, but if it's like, if streaming is your job, then, then I get it that there's gonna be times you cannot stream what you want. It happens. With any job. It's literally with any job. Sometimes you gotta do things you don't want to do. But as a hobby, yeah. If you're a hobby streamer, just do whatever. It's just a hobby. Aw, thank you, Rock. Sorry, I'm going back up. Ugh. Casual cursing is 18 plus, is it? But do I curse that often? Do I really curse that much, Us? Aw. Hi, Anamon, how are you doing today? Spelly's a closeted perv? Oh no. I don't know if closeted was the right word. Oh. You've been working on your first animation? Ah! Aww. Viwa, thank you. I appreciate it. Wait. I'm gonna say that's the right word to say there. I appreciate the stalking. You love being able to... Oh, I'm glad, Miwa. I'm glad. Because I like your ASMR. Yeah, there were some people that... I guess they had been doing ASMR and they liked it at first, but then they didn't, but they kept doing it for some reason. I'm glad they were able to find themselves, and they were like, alright, basically it was a post that had said, I'm gonna stop doing ASMR, and I'm like, I'm glad that you have decided on something that makes you comfortable. And then it made me think, I'm like, I guess there are people sometimes that stream things that they don't really want to stream or don't, like, but more times than not. Again, like I had said, if this is your job, it makes sense that sometimes you're gonna stream things you don't really necessarily want to. Especially if you're not feeling it that day. But you just gotta... We got this, essentially. But... Not if it's the majority. If it's the majority of the time you're doing something you don't want to do, I think something's gotta change there. And I'm glad that person... I don't know who it was, but I'm glad that person was able to find out what they want to do. Who are you drawing? Good question. Aw, man bear. Cloning yourself? It would be interesting, but I don't know if I want a clone to do all my work. I still want to do all my work. I just want to have more time in the day to do it. Ah, I see, Opal. I see. Yeah. You can't remember the last time I cursed? I don't curse very often. It's not, okay, for the record, I'm not like, I'd never curse ever. Never ever have I said a bad word. No. I used to swear like a sailor, but I just don't curse on stream. Let alone, I don't really curse that much either. But I've never not cursed, you know. I'm saying it like I never have. Oh, I said no, bonus. No, I actually don't do Hex's Bone Marrow. The specific spells that I've ever done in my life have always been good. Always been good. I'm not really into hexes or curses and stuff. To each their own, though, of course. Have a good meeting, Bone Marrow. That's a good question, Anamon. The only thing I can think of is your service provider, but unless, I don't know, Or maybe your internet? You might have to restart your router or something. Oh, okay, I see what you mean then, Rim. I feel like you'd also be like me, where you would want to work on all your stuff too. I see what you mean then. It would be nice to have like maybe like a teammate, just someone that's there with you, but you could still, I don't know, but I don't want to micromanage my clone just because I want to work on everything. Because I know how I feel about micromanaging. I promise you my clone's not gonna like it. How you doing today, Fotis? It's nice to see ya. I'm glad you're back. Wait, what is that? What is that, Lucky? What? What? Did he just say apple pie? The killing curse? Oh! Good thing I didn't say that. No, I've never... Well, okay. I think I already mentioned it yesterday. I am someone that holds grudges. I am definitely not, like, you know, this grand person that's so good and stuff. No. I hold grudges pretty well, which is bad. But no, I wouldn't say maybe except for one person, wouldn't want to, like, just straight up, you know, cast a spell to goodbye off the face of this earth. Now, okay, when I have road rage, however, I may feel that way, but I definitely don't feel that way, you know, forever. It's just in the heat of the moment of road rage, which I do. If there's one thing that I get, it's road rage, which I haven't had in a long time, so knock on wood or something. I haven't had road rage in a long time. I also don't drive. I don't drive as much as I used to, though, as well. The least impressive of all those spells. Spelling. Oh no. You don't want to go 8 poopy? Nah. Nah, I don't need to do all that. You want to know why? Because I have so much more that I have to do. Like, look, I gotta work on freaking 5 animations this month. I want to do more art fight stuff. And I do want to start actually looking into taking my classes. I have some classes that I have to take. Nowhere in that schedule fits time to, like, just go rampage on someone. Like, I'm out here. I'm trying to do stuff. I don't have time. I literally don't have time to, like, get mad at people. So you know, I just don't. Now, if it's like again, if it's spur of the moment, at the end of the day, I'm only human. But if it's like something that's like, oh, it's whatever, honestly. Then at the end of the day, it's whatever, you know? We out here, we don't got time, bro. We don't got time. I do. Smelly is the grudge, bro. Have you seen me with my hair down, like soaking wet, bro? Back before I, like, started dyeing my hair half and half, I guarantee that's how I would look. Mind control curse? Ooh. Imagine. I feel like that's so much work, though. Controlling someone else. I can barely control myself, bro. Maybe I can mind control myself to, like, stop procrastinating crap and actually get work done. That's what I would use it for. Control my own mind. Stop it. Stop looking through and scroll, like, doom scrolling, bro. Do your work. Stop looking at memes. Yeah, my killing spell is a gun. No. That's so sad. I don't want to shoot anyone. It's so impersonal if you just shoot people, you know? Road rage is real. It really is. It really is. I used to have road rage really bad. And I guarantee if something happens that, like, really bad, I'll still probably rage in some way, shape, or form, but definitely not as bad as I used to. But again, I don't really drive as much as I used to either. I used to drive 3 hours a day. Ugh. Sheesh. That was not fun. Have a good meeting, Bone Marrow. Thank you. Thank you for being here up until the meeting. I appreciate you. 5 out of 1 month? No. I have 5, so